What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Markets. Happy Friday out there. Hope you guys had a great week. We are going to go through a few things this Friday. I got a lot of new content out for bitcoinandmarkets.com. So we're going to go through that. I have a couple macro minutes, this new format of post I'm doing, a couple macro minutes, a couple Bitcoin related posts. We're going to go over the price chart. We're going to talk about some news, and I'm going to answer your questions and comments. So make sure you put those down below. I am live streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, and Twitter. If you are watching on Twitter, I recommend jumping over to YouTube or Rumble and making the comments there. Comments down below help other people find the live stream, as well as if you're watching this later, make a comment down there. I try to go back and answer any comment that's put down below, and that help other people find the show. Okay, let's share the screen. And this is bitcoinandmarkets.com, but should I go to a live price chart first? Let's do that. So here is the Bitcoin price, and we're sitting at 67,200 right now, down from the top, almost breaking up to 68,000. Let's see what the high was. 67,466. So yeah, we're making another push here in the afternoon. Let's go down to the hourly and see how that's moving. Pretty straight up. There was a rumor this morning that Microsoft had to buy Bitcoin to pay off some hackers, but that I don't think is the case. All the news I've seen is it's from this CrowdStrike, this other piece of software within Windows that was updated, and it had major bugs. It also has, the CEO is the former assistant FBI director under Obama, so that is an interesting connection to everything going on. Yeah, Bitcoin unaffected. TikTok, next block, the only real monetary network that was unaffected by this bug, which should say volumes to people, and maybe that's what's happening here with this bid today. So that's what's going on with Bitcoin. Let's take a look at some other macro stuff. Dollar, go back to the daily. Dollar is up on the day, but not significantly. Gold is way down on the day. So this is a decoupling a little bit of Bitcoin and gold. So we'll see. I mean, the dollar has rallied a little bit over the last couple of days, and gold has topped and starting to come down, very inverse to the dollar, where Bitcoin is not. Okay, Bitcoin is its own thing. It's its own monetizing asset. So at periods, it's going to be correlated with stocks. At other periods, it's going to be correlated with the dollar. At other periods, it's going to be correlated with gold. So it's its own animal. How about JPY? We haven't looked at this for a while. It did break this trend line that we were watching from last week, and it did bounce here last couple of days, but we'll see where that ends up. Right now, they had massive intervention up here, and it looks like they have delayed things for now. How about the US 10-year? Had this channel that we've been watching. We did break these lows here. So I thought it was going to go down to the bottom of the channel, but right now we're rallying through the midline, and we'll see where that ends up. Ultimately, as we go into recession, this should trend downward and fall rapidly. One thing related to this, let's go to this. We can look at the 2 and 10-year inversion. Let's go to the weekly. All right. Oh, I got it. That's why. Okay, so here we go. 2 and 10-year. It's been making a move higher, trying to break up to uninvert, and that is what we want to see to call more of a recession. Okay, so these uninvert before recessions. If we turn the recessions on here, I don't know what that arrow is from. But you can see we inverted ever so slightly back here in 2019 during the repo rumble, and uninverted right away. And then we had recession. Okay. Then we can go back here to the great financial crisis, and we were inverted, uninverted, and then about 6 months later, well, how long is that? We're on the weekly chart. We're looking at about 30 weeks. So yeah, a little over 6 months. 6 to 9 months later is when the official recession starts. And same back here, if we go back to the .com, same thing, uninversion, and then several months later, we have the beginning of the .com recession. So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for this to uninvert, and then we can start talking more and more about recession. I'm still in favor of the idea that a recession is coming this year, if not already started now, but we'll have to wait on further data. And yeah, so that's what we're watching on that. Let's go back to, well, let me see. Let me go to this one, and we'll take a look at copper, because we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And you can see on the weekly chart, copper has just fallen off a cliff here. Let me just hide all these drawings. This week has been a very bad week for copper. We're going to go over the story, and why don't we just go ahead and do that now. So back here to bitcoinandmarkets.com. I'm starting this new, guys, I'm done writing for the time being for Bitcoin Magazine Pro and their new rebrand. Hopefully I'll be back with them in the future at some point, but for right now, I'm off doing my own thing here on bitcoinandmarkets.com. So check that out. I introduced this new format, Macro Minute and Bitcoin Minute. They're supposed to be very short, maybe 1 to 4 charts, mostly charts, very, very little on the commentary. But I put this one out this morning, and it is on Dr. Copper is crashing, and that is a bad signal for the global economy. So back in April, the copper stockpiles in China were brought to my attention by Andreas Steno on X. While Andreas implied this was part of a larger plan by the CCP, my initial reaction, as you can see, was to question domestic consumption. So here we have Andreas Steno saying China is preparing something big, huge build in their stockpiles. All right, this is the normal range, obviously, we're looking at, and it is just way out of range. And my initial thing was, what do their imports production of copper look like? This could simply be a sign they are importing normal amounts, but their economy is so garbage they aren't using it. And you guys know my macro thesis includes this idea that the Chinese miracle is coming to an end. So it makes sense that if their economy is garbage, which many of us suspect, and more people are coming around to this realization every day, the Chinese economy is in big, big trouble. Okay. They're not planning on, I guess if you have really bad recession, that would be a time for people to start wars, but I don't think that would be a time for China to start a war. Okay. China is not going to start a war when they're in recession. They are not an expeditionary force. They're not going to go and attack Taiwan with an amphibious landing if their economy is imploding. And so that would not be the MO of China to do. Anyway, so their economy is garbage. That was my initial reaction and why they are stockpiling. Okay. Why is domestic consumption of copper an important variable? Because we know the Chinese economy is in big trouble, and copper is a primary material for many of the products they produce, from electric vehicles to electronics. If my predictions about China are correct and their economy were in brutal pain, we'd expect to see the stockpiles grow. Also, China is a quota-driven command economy. Importers really don't have the authority to adapt to this shrinking demand very quickly. So we wouldn't see these same sort of stockpiles building in the US or in maybe other Western economies, because they can adjust their imports. They can adjust these things, but China moves very, very slowly. It's a command economy. And so they're not going to adjust their imports or their exports, which they have started to do. But look, when this started way early in the year, and they're just adjusting their exports now. They're re-exporting this copper. So then he posted this morning, and why isn't this coming up bigger? So Chinese copper consumption is on the floor, and you can see this is percentage change, probably year over year. And it's negative. It's touched negative 40%, negative 30%. That's where it's hanging out. These are big numbers. It's not negative 5%. It's negative 40%, almost half year over year. So he says China has hoarded copper, but it may not be on purpose. Well, that's exactly what I responded back in April to his tweet. Okay, well, it turns out my initial reaction was correct. This was not some well-orchestrated plan by the clever communists to stockpile a critical commodity. It was a result of their mismanagement and economic decline. The exact opposite. Everybody likes to think that the Chinese communists are bright. They're so smart that they are going to be the ones that can centrally command an economy. If anyone can be a communist with a command economy, it's the Chinese. But no, this is a sign of the exact opposite of that mismanagement by the communists. Okay, China is now exporting record amounts of copper, and I linked to the source for that, which could lead to a drastic decline in price. In addition, in addition to the China hoarding fund, the largest copper miner in the world has had issues. Codelco, whatever, posted production of 1.325 million metric tons for the year of 2023. That was the lowest level in a quarter century, according to the filing, compared to 1.446 million tons in 2022. So the largest copper miner in the world had production way down in 2023, and that's, can be starting to impact the market months down the road, maybe a quarter or 2 quarters down the road, and that's exactly what we saw. This decrease in production from state-owned Codelco might have something to do with Chile's election of the hard-left socialist president Boric in December of 2021. So he's this pretty much communist socialist was elected in December of 2021, and then in 2022 or 2023, their state-owned miners start falling apart. So it's communism's fault again. Okay, so let's take a look at this chart here. China copper hoarding was fake news. A slow economy led to a surplus. So this was a big spike on the China hoarding and to an all-time high, just barely, marginal all-time high by a few cents. And now it has been falling, and it just fell past this critical level right here. And it can fall pretty quickly, as you can see back here in 2022. We might have something like that as well here. 2022, actually, if you remember, July of 2022 is when CPI hit the brick wall. The economy realized that this was not some runaway boomtown thing from all the COVID stimmy checks and stuff, that this was just a fake economy. And copper kind of proved that out right here. It led this bottoming or this brick wall of CPI by several weeks here, months even. So anyway, this is tracking down, and we will watch where this goes here in the next little while. I was surprised by the recent spike. That's this one up to the all-time high, but still, I think I mean still be proved correct as copper continues to decline. Global economic activity is definitely decreasing, and copper demand along with it. China is now selling copper, and mining will likely recover from last year's 25-year lows. All this leads to the likely possibility of a crash in the price of copper. All right, and this is long-term chart here. So if you guys have been watching me for a while, I haven't looked at copper for a while, but I've been expecting this pattern to repeat. So back here, the GFC coming down, same thing after COVID, and it was coming down, like the exact same pattern almost. And then right here where the red arrows are, those are the ones, the points that kind of correspond. Now the China FUD pushed this way up, and maybe exacerbated by the Chile mining issues, but now it's coming back down. and we could resume this pattern with just this little deviation. So interesting chart here. We'll see if we can get down to $3 a pound or whatever. Okay. Crashing copper is yet another sign of the coming recession. If the economy were strong and thriving, copper demand would be up, not down. That's why he's called Dr. Copper, because he has a PhD in economics with the ability to predict turning points in the global economy. Okay, so this is my minute format, specifically my macro minute. These are going out free for people. I don't have any plans right now to make them behind a paywall or anything, so subscribe to the free tier over here on Bitcoin and Markets. Let's see, what else? Let's go over the Bitcoin minute. This is a pitchfork analysis. This came out Wednesday or yesterday, actually. Bitcoin minute. So there is this Andrews pitchfork. It is a long time chart tool, indicator. Not very many people use it, but it has been used in Bitcoin by people. One of my favorite chartists in Bitcoin is Carpe Noctem on Twitter, and he has been using this for many, many years. So anyway, I just went through and started looking at this cycle's pitchfork, and man, it looks kind of pretty, doesn't it? So we go from a low to a high to a low, and then it stayed right within that. And this is an interesting trajectory. By the end of the year, we're up here at 100,000 within this pitchfork, and that is perfect growth that most people are expecting out of Bitcoin. So this pitchfork is probably going to be holding for a long period of time. The pitchfork for the current cycle is very interesting. The center line matches support prior to forming the second 2 points on the staff of the pitchfork. So this part, you can see this part is support for the price at this point before we get into the pitchfork itself. The center line also is on the exact point where the ETF launched in January, before the little consolidation on the inner bottom channel. So if we go here, let's make this bigger. So ETFs launched right here pretty much at this center line, and then it consolidated on this inner channel before going back up. So that's a very interesting behavior there. Price then rallied to the top of the pitchfork and pulled back to the center line almost at the exact same time as the halving. Okay. So now into this outer band, pull back towards the center line. The halving happened just above the center line within this central channel right next to that center line. And then we consolidated along the center line. I mean, it fits very, very well. Most recently, price found support on the bottom of the outer channel. Perfect support there and up. So yeah, this channel is looking very nicely. A return to the center line will put us at a new all-time high and grab all the liquidity from the liquidation heat map in that area. And I don't have a liquidation heat map on here, but there is that huge amount of liquidations up at 72 to 73,000, and that would be a return to the midline. So this is looking pretty nice. Now what I did was I extended the pitchfork and added in orange ghost candles. They are just copied from the earlier period in the pitchfork. As you can see, I also added an estimated end of the cycle. This is based on my previous analysis of cycle patterns. The top of the pitchfork at the time is 260,000 or slightly higher. So if we just look at this pitchfork, pull this out to where my estimated end of the cycle is, and we get up to roughly 260,000 in this channel. Now, do we stay in this channel? Who knows? I'm going to go through and show you the previous pitchforks from previous cycles, but this would, I mean, it would just continue the same behavior that it's had so far, and that's a very healthy cycle top, 260. It's lower than a lot of people are thinking. But 260, I think, is a very conservative top for this cycle. And that's what this is showing here. All right. Pitchforks have been part of Bitcoin price analysis for a long time. Below is the 2019 to 2021 pitchfork. It happened to contain the whole bull market. It is also different than most pitchforks because the COVID crash. So the COVID crash made this pitchfork very wide, as you can see, but it did contain the entire bull market. We found bottom here consolidated with above this inner channel. Then we raced up all the way to the outer channel, back to the center line, climbed up the center line, had that secondary high, which really I don't really consider that the all-time high. I consider this over here the all-time high, but whatever. And that was the end. So interesting that the last cycle was contained all within this pitchfork as well. Okay. Now in 2015 to 2017, the pitchfork is amazing. It contained the price in the first half of the bull cycle, and then it was broken to the upside 43 weeks after the halving. For context, today, 43 weeks after the halving is the second week of February. Okay, let's look at this. Pitchfork, 2017 or 2015 to 2017, stayed within this pitchfork beautifully. And then 43 weeks after the halving, it broke out, back tested the pitchfork, and then went to its blow off top. All right. So that's 2017. And there are a lot of similarities between the 2017 cycle and this cycle. I should do a post listing all those. I did a post several months back saying, are we going to be like this cycle or a mix between them? And things come up, more things come up that are like 2017 than like 2020. So it's looking to leaning more towards 2017. So what I did was then I applied the current pitchfork, or I applied this break 43 weeks after the halving to this current pitchfork, and this is what we get. So bouncing around, then about 43 weeks after the halving, that would be February of 2025, we break out, back test, and rocket up to a blow off top by middle of the year. And that would take us, that would be on the much less conservative. That'd be on the bullish side of things, up to 500,000 or something like that in this cycle. So that is also a possibility based off of, kind of a similar pattern to what we saw in 2017. And that's it. That was it for this one. I got one more here to show you guys. And that's the macro minute. Here, gold's breakout hints at Bitcoin's next move. We did just talk about gold kind of selling off for the last couple of days, but not much, just a little, marginally. Okay, so gold bugs finally get some. Oh, I talked about this last week, didn't I? Or on Wednesday. I think I went over this post, so I'm not going to go over it again. So let's see. That was it. Let's see what we got for comments. Let me go back to the homepage. See what we got for comments going on. Could I give comments on Gary Network? No, because I have no idea what it is. I don't deal with anything shitcoin. Only Bitcoin only here. BTCP, what up, Ansel? Good stuff as always. Good that you could catch the live stream. Thank you for joining. Dex said he just called the Bitcoin CEO, and they don't use CrowdStrike. So yeah, that's good. All right, let me check Telegram, see if there's any comments over there. Maybe if normies didn't FOMO, the bull market would stay in the pitchfork band instead of a blow off top. Yeah, but it's human nature, man. It's human nature. It's amazing what Satoshi did with the timeline, from the halvings that, why didn't he make it cutting it by 25% each time? I guess it wouldn't be 21 million, but he laid it out to have halvings every 4 years. That gives plenty of time for cycles. If you look at the cycles, we have a blow off top in November, December, a bottom in the next November or December, and then we have a halving coming up and the next bull market every 4 years. It's just a beautiful system the way it works. Now, it's not going to work exactly like that forever, I guess, but we are nowhere near full adoption. We're nowhere near even like half adoption. And so we are going to have cycles for at least 2 or 3 more cycles, I would say. We got to be up north of 1 million to start talking about no more cycles. And even then we could see mini cycles where we pump 25% and then we come back, fall back after the market kind of adjusts to the new halving. But yeah, human nature will FOMO. Any other comments? Let's see. No other comments. What else did I have? Did I have anything else lined up for this? I don't think so, but let me just go into this one. So this is the premium content. So if you guys sign up for the premium level on the website, the professional, actually, it's called professional, but you get my premium content there. So I go through long-term and short-term. Oh, I forgot to update the block number. That sucks. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term forecasts. And I also did a survey of what kind of stuff they wanted to see, and I was just talking about that. But then we get into seeing some of these charts. So I'm just going to go through this fast, and you guys can join the premium if you want to. I'm also going to start doing some premium-only videos because that's the stuff that they said they wanted over there. So check out the premium content. And that's going to be it for me today, guys. Have a great weekend. Get out there and get outside in the sun. Be healthy and spend time with loved ones and all of that. So wish you guys all the best, and I'll see you